Hey guys, welcome to part 3, the final part, the final frontier. Now we're going to make the sleeves, and I must say, and you will see this whenever I try it on, the coat was not quite long enough for me, not by a long shot. So I wound up adding, gosh, I don't even know if I counted how many more rows. I just kept adding them until I wound it up. Would you listen to how I talk? I wound up adding, let's see, we started down here, I think. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total rows of that last row, that last stitch shell I showed you. So yeah, I added like 3 extra just to make it long enough to cover my butt. I wanted it to cover my butt. So I needed the extra 3 rows to cover the back there. I already made 1 full sleeve, and I made sure to end with the same color as my last row on the hem of the coat. So we will get into all of this. The sleeves work up, obviously they're going to work up loads faster than the entire body of the coat. And then as far as the hood go, I would say the hood is optional. I'm going to give you some ideas on how to work around not having a hood. If you don't want one, I'm going to make one because I do want one. So my hood I'm going to make in this color, and also the trim here. Let me get this under the camera for you. Here is the bottom of the coat. So the trim here where you would put the buttonholes, I'm also going to make in this color here. So I really wanted this color to be very mulberry. All right, let's get into the sleeves there. So for the sleeves, we are going to have to do a little bit of fudging to make it work. But once you get this very first row figured out, the rest of the sleeve just falls into place naturally, and you don't have to do any more fudging. So what we are ultimately looking for is a total of 53 stitches all the way around the circumference of this first sleeve. So let's not start into this joining stitch right here. We're not going to count that as a stitch at all. We're going to use those right here as our first stitch whenever we seam this sleeve shut. So we're going to ignore this, and right here let's go ahead and join with your darkest color to work our row of back loop only single crochets. Of course, I always work through both loops, front and back. The sleeve portions are worked in a flat panel that we seam shut at the end. Okay, so basically what that means is, much like we've been doing for the coat, when we are done working our single crochet rows, we're going to cut and weave in those ends, come like a typewriter all the way back to the beginning, and start working our shells. Work my first single crochet, and this is no different than we've been doing, just back loop only. And then the last stitch of this shell and the first stitch of the next shell over are going to be worked 2 single crochet together. So none of that is new. It's just going to be faster because we have a lot less stitches to work into now. And I'm just burying that tail in along the way. Okay, here is the last stitch of my shell. And then the first stitch of the next shell over, of course, all back loop. There we go. And just keep doing that all the way around the circumference of the sleeve. And then cut, weave in that end, grab your medium shade. For me, that's going to be the Cafe Latte. So grab your medium shade because we're going to keep the same color pattern going. That color pattern isn't going to change. And then join your medium shade right back over here into the first single crochet you made. Okay, I will be right back. Okay, on this side here, I'm just finishing up, and I wanted to show you the chain count I'm ending up with. Will it wind up being right in the end? I don't know. We'll fudge it if it's not. That's not a big deal. So here is my 2 single crochet together here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this last stitch is number 6. So if it's one too many stitches, that's okay. That's what we don't call that a mistake. We call that a maker's signature. Okay. All right. Now we come back to the beginning This is where I ended. Now we're just going to go boop, jump back to the beginning, go into our very first stitch, very first single crochet that we made, back loop only single crochet. And we're going to start working our shell pattern again. So for the sleeves, it says at this point, it says for second row, work in same manner as 25th row using color 2, which is our medium color. There are 4 complete shells in a row. So you see, this is going to go by so much faster. So let's go back to row 25. There we go. And let's work row 25. Get weaved in here. Okay. It says to make a slip stitch in the first single crochet, and then 1 slip stitch into each of the next 2 single crochet. So 1 and 2. Then it says to skip 2 stitches and work your shell into the next stitch over, which should put us in the valley. Looks like I have 1 too many stitches. So here's what I'm going to do. That is my first slip stitch here. So I'm going to work 2 slip stitch together. So into the next stitch, I'm going to pull through and stop. Next stitch over, I'm going to pull through. Now without yarning over, I'm going to pull this loop through these 2 as a joined slip stitch, just like that. And that eliminates 1 of my stitches. Now I work 1 more slip stitch in the next stitch over. Now that counts as my joining slip stitch and then 1 slip stitch into each of the next 2 stitches. See there? We're going to work a 5 double crochet shell. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches. Skip, skip, work a slip stitch into the next stitch over, chain 2, skip only 1 stitch this time, and in the next stitch, there we go, we work 1 slip stitch. Now, we're familiar with this part here. We're going to work 2 double crochet into each of the next 5 double crochet, making 10 double crochet in a row. So I will be right back. There we go. Oops. Be right back. Okay, now we have our 10 double crochet in a row, and just like we did before, we're going to skip the first slip stitch and then work a slip stitch into each of the next 2. So there's 1, and then 1 into our very first single crochet made down here. There we go. And 2. Now we will turn. You'll have to forgive me because I am trying to balance and hold on to this whole coat while also filming, and it is proving to be a little bit of a challenge. Okay. All right. And now we're going to work 1 single crochet into the first double crochet, and then 2 single crochet into the next, and 1 into the next, just like we did before. 1, next stitch over gets 2, next stitch gets 1, next stitch gets 2, second to last stitch gets 1, and the last stitch we always end on an increase. Why is it doing that to me? There we go. 1 and 2. There we go. Now we're going to work a slip stitch into each of the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, that puts me just a little... I need an extra stitch now. I mean, This is what I dealt with the first sleeve. Once you get past this first row, for some reason, the stitch count just doesn't want to cooperate. Once you get past this first row, the entire sleeve just falls right into place. So here's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to slip stitch into this same stitch I've already worked this slip stitch into. I just am going to have to do it. You know, this first row, I don't know what I do wrong, but I can't seem to make the stitch count work. But that's okay. When you can't make it work, you just make it work. You cut the puzzle piece and make it fit. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, now I have 2 stitches to skip, and I'm going to work my shell again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm sorry that I can't get the formula quite figured out, and maybe it's that they didn't get the formula quite figured out. I mean, it's happening on both sleeves, even though I ended with the stitch count I was supposed to end with down here. It's not working out up here. Is that my fault? Probably. Is it their fault? Could be too. It doesn't matter. We are going to just make it work. So let's work this sleeve, this one together here a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're supposed to skip 2, yes. Work a single crochet, chain 2, skip only 1, work a single crochet. Okay, now let me do counting here. So now whenever I'm done, it's going to ask me, starting in this stitch right here, so not skipping any stitches, to slip stitch 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's going to happen again. So the stitch count is just not right, and that's not our fault. We did what they told us to do. So you know what I'm going to do to make up for it for the rest of this row? I'm not going to skip 2. I'm only going to skip 1. Work my slip stitch, chain 2, skip 1, work another slip stitch. That's what I'm going to do. It doesn't look really any different. So let's just do that. If you're dealing with the same thing I'm dealing with, let's just do that. Then we will turn and work our 2 double crochet into each stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10. Skip the first slip stitch and slip stitch into each of the next 2. Well, all I'm doing is splitting this one stitch to high hell. There we go, finally. Okay, and then we turn again, which is no easy feat for me right now with this whole coat on my lap. Okay, and we start working our single crochets. So 1 into the first stitch, 2 into the next, 1 into the next stitch, 2 into the next, 1, next stitch over, 1 and 2, 1, next stitch, 1 and 2, and then we end with an increase. So this is 1, and then the last stitch is 1 and 2. And then without skipping, we start working our slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that lines me up just right to skip 2 stitches. And in the third stitch over, down into that little valley there, I start working my next shell. So I will be back whenever I work my way all the way around to the end. So yeah, just gonna have to fudge it. And then again, like I did before, I am only gonna skip 1 stitch instead of skipping 2. Work a single crochet, chain 2, again skip 1 stitch, and then work another single crochet. It's going to be fine. Nobody's going to notice. All right, I'll be right back. I am just working my last shell, and it's crazy. My final stitch count is just right. I don't have to do anything different here. So I'm going to be able to skip 2 stitches like the pattern tells us to, and then work my slip stitch, chain 2, skip 1 stitch, work my slip stitch, and then I'm going to have 1 stitch left over unworked on the end that I'm going to be able to slip stitch back into. That's strange the way that worked out, but it worked out. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish my last shell up, and then let's change colors into the black or whichever you're using for your darkest color. All right, let's work our first single crochet row. Okay, so with this one here, we're not going to be working the first and last single crochet together. This is the one where we're going to work a slip stitch in the center stitch. So here we go. So I will be right back. I'm gonna work a slip stitch down toward that little valley area there, and then we will work that section together, but just work 1 single crochet into every stitch of the shell. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, worked my last single crochet of the shell. Now, like we did before, we're gonna skip the first and the last slip stitch, and we're gonna work 1 single crochet into the center slip stitch. So there we go. And then just start working 1 single crochet into all of your stitches again. So this is the repeat to the end. Chain 1 and turn. This time, whenever you chain 1 and turn and you start working your back loop only, this is where you're going to work 3 single crochet together, just like we did before. So back loop only, you're going to pick up the loop here, here, and here, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook and then carry on, okay? So work these next 2 rows just like we've done before, and then we're going to join with the cream color. So when you're done working your 2 rows of single crochet, cut, weave in that end, come back to the beginning stitch, and join with your lightest color, okay? I just wanted to jump on here real quick and work that portion of that second row with you. So when you start off, you're going to work, we have 15 stitches total, but we're going to be reducing 1 stitch from each end and 2 stitches from each full shell. So you're going to start off with 14 single crochet, then you will come up and find that you have 1, 2, 3. So back loop only, you're going to pull up a loop on the first, again on the second, again on the third one. Now you have, I know before I said 3 loops, that was a mistake. You have 4 loops on your hook now. Pull through all 4. Now we will only have 13 stitches to work in. So there's 14 available, but we're going to be eliminating this one, thus leaving only 13 stitches left for us to work into. So that's how every shell will be worked. Okay, so I will be right back whenever I have finished, cut, weaved in my ends, and joined with my cream here on the end. Okay, here we go. This is what we should have 4 shells. I did go ahead and weave in my ends. Now let's go ahead and join with the lightest color into the very first single crochet, and we're going to start another shell row. Here we go. This time we're going to start with our half shell. So 3 double crochet into the first stitch. That's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we're going to skip 2 stitches, work 1 single crochet into the next, chain 2, skip 1. If I said 1 single crochet, I meant to say slip stitch. I'm really sorry. Skip 1 and work 1 single crochet into the next, turn and work 2 double crochet into each stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, chain 1 and turn, and work 1 single crochet into each of the 6 double crochet going back down. There we go. Now work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So without skipping any chains, you're going to work 1 slip stitch into each of the next 6 stitches, and then go ahead and work your 5 double crochet shell, skip 2, slip stitch, chain 2, skip 1 slip stitch, a repeat of what we've been doing. So you'll just work in this fashion all the way to the end, ending with a half shell exactly how we worked this first one. Then you will join with the black and come on back. It's important to mention we did start off by working only 1 single crochet in each of the next 6, but when you work your full shells, you're going to work those single crochet exactly how we did down here, where you're going to work 1 into the first stitch, then 2 into the next, then 1 into the next stitch, then 2 into the next. So that won't change. It's just we don't do it on the first or the last half shell, but we will do that on the full shells. Okay, and I can see here I worked a single crochet. Okay, so just keep doing basically what we did in this row right here. Our full shells are going to be worked exactly the same way, this way and going out this way. So you're going to do everything exactly the same. Okay, I will be back whenever we are ready to work the black rows. Okay, so with our dark single crochet row, it's going to be work exactly how we did this one. So you're going to work your single crochet in between the slip stitches, and then the second row up, you're going to work 3 single crochet together in the middle, exactly how we did these 2 rows. So when you're done working these 2 rows here, go ahead and cut and weave in your ends, and the next color is going to be your dark color. So for me, that will be the mulberry. Okay, let's go ahead and start this next shell row. So we're going to skip the first 3 stitches. Well, we're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and into the 3rd stitch, we're going to join the dark color. And this join is going to count as a slip stitch. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches, and down here in the little valley, we're going to work a 6 double crochet shell. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Much like we did down here though, we're still going to skip 2, work a slip stitch, chain 2, skip only 1, and work a slip stitch. Now let's turn and work our 2 double crochet into every stitch. Okay, now we're going to skip 1 stitch and work a slip stitch into the last stitch here. Turn. Now we're going to work double crochet into the top of our shell, and we're going to start with 2 into the first stitch, then 1 into the next. We're still going to be working the 2, then 1, the 2, then 1, but instead of ending with an increase, so instead of ending with 2, we're going to end with 1 since we're starting with 2. So 1, 2, next stitch over just gets 1. Next stitch over gets an increase, 1, 2, next stitch over just gets 1. Okay, there we go. Now this time we're going to skip the first stitch here, so not this one that we already have a stitch into, but the next one over. We're going to skip the first stitch and slip stitch into each of the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip 2 stitches and start working your 6 double crochet shell, and start working all of those steps again. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, skip, skip, work a slip stitch, chain 2, skip only 1, work a slip stitch, work 2 double crochet into each of the 6 stitches. Okay, now we're going to skip 1 slip stitch, work a slip stitch into the next, chain 2, skip 1 slip stitch here and work a slip stitch into the next one over. Turn and start working your increases, starting with 2 double crochet into the first stitch, and then only 1 double crochet into the next, over and over. Whenever you work your way down to the other end here, you're going to skip the first stitch and slip stitch into the next 5, and then come down here and start all over again. Okay, so I will meet back up with you when we get back around to the beginning. You're just going to end this by slip stitching into your last stitch and join your black yarn. Okay, now for our first single crochet row, it's going to be very easy. We're just going to work 1 single crochet in all 18 stitches. We're not going to do anything in the valleys. We're not going to work any stitches joined together. We're not going to work into the slip stitch. It's just going to be 18, then 18, then 18, all the way around. Your second row, we are going to work the last stitch and the first stitch of each shell joined together. So that's going to be your back loop only row. So this first one is just 1 into every stitch. Your second one, you're going to work 2 together down here in the little valley as we've done before. Then you can cut, weave in those ends, come back and join your medium shade color, which again for me is going to be the Cafe Latte. So I will be right back whenever I finish those 2 rows and I'm ready to join my medium color. Okay, so this next shell we're going to work on is the last shell type of the sleeve. You will continue to work this shell in the color pattern over and over with the same single crochet row that I'm going to tell you about, over and over until the sleeve is long enough. Be sure that your last shell color matches the last shell color on the bottom, the hem of your coat. So here we go. Let's go ahead and join. Now your next shell up after this, you're going to join like we were doing down here, where you join in the 6th stitch so that your first shell is worked in the little valley area. But we're going to start here on the end with a half shell on the end. So let's work 3 double crochet into this first stitch. Let me get a little more sunshine on you. Make this a little easier to see. Okay, so here is 1, 2, and 3. Now you're going to skip 2 stitches, work a single or slip stitch, chain 2, skip 2, work another slip stitch. This is exactly how we worked the last several rows of shells. Okay, you're going to work 2 double crochet into every stitch. 1, 2, and then 1 and 2. Work 2 double crochet into the first stitch. So turn and work 1 and 2, 1 double crochet into the next, 2 into the next, 1 and 2, 1 into the next, 2 into the next. Actually, I did that wrong. We're supposed to start with 1. I'm so sorry. We're supposed to start with 1 double crochet into the top. I'm so sorry. 2 into the next because we want to end with an increase. So I told you that wrong. Dang, I was on a roll there for a minute. 1 into the next, 2, into the next, 1, and then finally 2 into the last. Okay, then you're going to skip 1 stitch. Here we go. We're going to skip 1 stitch and work 1 slip stitch into each of the next 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Well, why wouldn't I split my stitch? It's one of my videos after all, right? Okay, then we're going to make our 6 double crochet shell, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Skip 2, 1, 2, work a slip stitch in the next, chain 2, skip 2 again, work a slip stitch in the next, turn. Okay, we turn our work, and we're going to work 2 into each of the 6 double crochet, making 12 double crochet in a row. Okay, there is 12. Now you will skip the first slip stitch and work a slip stitch into the next, chain 2, skip 2 slip stitches and work a slip stitch into the third one over, turn. Starting in the first stitch, work 1 double crochet, next stitch over gets the increase, and that's the repeat. When you work yourself all the way over to the other end here, you're going to skip the first stitch and work 7 slip stitches in a row and start over again. You will end the way we started with a half shell. Finish your last stitch with the black. Now how you're going to do the rest of your single crochet rows, you're going to work your first round. You're going to take the last stitch and the first stitch of each shell and join them into 1 single crochet. So 2 single crochet join together, work together. And then the second row of your black single crochet, your back loop only, is just going to be 1 into every stitch, no decreasing or anything. And that's how each section of the single crochet will be worked. So keep working this stitch pattern, keep trying the jacket on and seeing where the sleeve hits and where you like it, and be sure that your last row matches the bottom of the hem of your jacket. Okay, so do this on both sleeves and then come back whenever, not both sleeves, actually, go ahead and work this all the way down and then come on back whenever you're ready to seam it shut, and we will do that together. Then we will go ahead and work on the hood. Just wanted to jump on real quick and show you how you start your second row. I'm just going to start it since the rest of the shell is made exactly the same way as this one here that we just got done making. So you're going to count 6 stitches in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go ahead and join into that 6th stitch. Chain 1. Now that's going to count as a slip stitch, and then you're just going to skip 2 and into the 3rd stitch over, start making your shells. Other than that, everything is exactly the same. I also wanted to show you something else. Before, whenever I said make sure that you line it up in a way, you work your rows in a way that you end, see here is my bottom hem. My bottom hem ends with the cream. In order to pull that off, I had to go brown, cream, burgundy, brown, burgundy, cream. You can't really tell sight unseen, but it does help to keep the hem of the sleeves matching the hem of the coat. So that's what I wound up doing. Okay, guys, I will see you when we are ready to seam these sleeves together. Okay, so it's nighttime now. I busted out the ring light overhead so that we can still work. All right, sleeve is constructed. Let's go ahead and sew the two halves shut. Starting right up under the armpit, we're going to grab those two strands that we ignored when we first started working on this. Let me get a hold of the other one right here. It was right there in front of me the whole time. Okay, we're going to do just a simple single crochet seam. Just do your best to match. I'm not going to say stitch for stitch, but match color for color. No matter what you have to do, no matter how you have to manipulate it, make sure that the colors are matching. Okay, so I've got my mulberry and mulberry. Make sure that those two are completely matched. Like, I'm more concerned about color match than I am anything else in this portion. There we go. Just do your best to space the stitches out as far apart as as evenly as possible. Not as far apart, because then you'll get some funky looking ripples and buckling. But I can see I need to bring the brown down now. It was just a little too high on one side. There we go. Okay. Now I'm gonna make sure I keep the black portion here aligned perfectly. Yep. No, stop that. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that I match color for color in the white portion. So just keep doing this all the way up to the end. Cut, weave in your ends, come on back, and we will start working the trimming. Actually, we're going to do, okay, just come on back and we will have a discussion about which to do first, because if it depends on if you want a hood or not, and if you want buttonholes or not, and all of that. Okay, all done sewing the sleeves together. Now this is the point where I would say fast forward a little bit and take a look at how the coat looks the way I'm gonna make it, and see if that's a style that you would like too. I personally find this coat to be big enough that really and truly buttons are not needed. I intend to wear my coat with a belt. Now, if you don't want to wear, I'm going to have a belt that goes across the waist. If you don't want to wear a belt, I will hold up the buttonhole instructions for you. They are very, very easy, but because I have no intention of actually wearing any buttons with it, what I am going to do is start the hood now. That way I can work the trimming up and around the front of the hood and let it all blend in. Just a couple of rows of single crochet to let it all blend in and look really nice and seamless and well put together. So here are the instructions if you do need to make this with buttons. Here you can see the instructions for the button border right there. It says to join your darkest shade. I know they say darker, that just doesn't make sense to me. Join your darkest shade with a single crochet over the end stitch of the first row at the neck edge. So we're working at the neck of the left front. With this, you're going to work one side, then the other. You don't work around the neck if you're going to do a button border. Working along the front edge, work one single crochet row, and then two single crochet over the end double crochet. So what they're saying is where you have a single crochet row, work just one single crochet along that rough edge, and I'm going to show you that. And then where there are double crochet ends, you will work two single crochet there. Again, I'm going to show you that so that it makes sense. But you're going to work this from the neck all the way down to your hemline, basically, and then turn, come back up, and you're going to work 4 rows of just single crochet. And then here is the buttonhole border. So you're going to continue to add to that. And there you go. I'm just going to, that's the hood down there. So that's everything you need. And you can see SC means single crochet. If you're not super familiar with patterns, it's really important to learn how to read them. This means chain 3, skip 3 single crochet. Okay, where you see an asterisk, you're going to repeat everything from this asterisk all the way over to this one, and it tells you how many times to repeat. This one wants you to repeat it twice. So here you're creating buttonholes. Okay, so that's if you want to add a button row. Again, I'm going to go a different route because the way I intend to wear this jacket, it does not need buttons, as I will only ever wear it with a belt because it's a little bit big for me. And so as much as I do love an empire waist, not so much on a coat, if I'm being completely honest. So I do want my waist to be, as the kids would say, snatched. I want it to be drawn in. I want that hourglass figure to be dominant. The only way to do that is to wrap a belt around the mid, because from here down, it's just straight down like a Christmas tree, okay? It's an empire coat. So let me show you what they were just describing here for those who want to make the button border. Let me show you what they were describing here when they say to work 1 single crochet where the single crochets are and to work 2 single crochet where the double crochets are. Okay, so here I have the coat from the neck. Here is the top of the neck. Here is my sleeve. So here is the top of the neck and a little dog hair. And then all the way down to the hem, the bottom of the coat. So you're going to start at the top of the neck, which means you're going to have to start with the wrong side facing you. Join your single crochet stitch right here. Now here we have single crochet rows, right? So you're just going to work 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet. And then here where you've got double crochet rows, so it's big, they want you to work 2 single crochet into this one side of a double crochet. Then you're going to work single, 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 and then double and double, single. So you see how it works? So wherever you see a single crochet, work a single, and wherever you have a wherever you have a single, work a single. And then wherever you have a double crochet, like here is the double crochet, but it's sideways here, just work 2 single crochet into this space. That's what they were trying to describe right there. So let's work on this the way I intend to wear it. So the way I intend to wear it, we're going to work the hood first, and then we will flesh it out with the trim. So the right side is now facing me. Here's my sleeve, okay? So the top neck portion, right side is facing me. I want my hoodie to be this color here. So here we go. Gonna do my best to find a stitch right here. I guess I'm just gonna have to invent one. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. And I'm going to work 1 row of single crochet across this entire neckline about as even as I possibly can. There we go. 1 here. So what I'm looking for, we started off with a stitch count of 56. I'd like there to be a stitch count of 56 still. So I'm going to do my best to make sure I have 56 stitches. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to work evenly across and adjust my stitches here and there as I need to make sure that I have 56 stitches across. Oh no, no, that's too loose. There we go. All right, I will be right back whenever I get down to the other end. I just realized I probably should have mentioned, if you don't want a hood at all, just go ahead and start down here at the bottom of your jacket and start working whichever color you want to be your trim, and just start working single crochets all the way up, all the way around the neck, all the way back down the other side, turn and come back over, and just work that as many times as you feel you need to for it to look the way you want it to. And that's how you can get away from using a hood at all if you don't want, because this neck will come right on up to the nape and it'll be just fine that way. Right, so I wound up with 53 stitches, so I just went back and added 3 extra stitches at random places. So I'm at 56 now. And so what I'm going to do, just to help this portion go by a little bit faster, they want to do single crochet. So I'm going to go off script a little bit here. And I am going to work half double crochets. It'll still look like single crochet for the most part, but it'll just help us get our hood done a little bit faster. So I chain 1, turn, yarn over and into the very first stitch, work my first single crochet. And I'm just going to work 1 single crochet into every stitch across. Now there isn't a specific row count that we need. We are looking for inches made. So just a moment. They are calling for the hood to measure 15 inches. Now, again, you can customize this. 15 inches is going to give you quite a bit of drape down at the bottom, and I like the way that looks. If you want it to be just a little bit more sheared up, then only work it until you're at 10 inches, and that should do it, or 12 inches, and that should do it. Okay, it just all depends on what you want. All right, so I'm going to continue to work single crochet back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until I have 15 inches. Then when we come back, we will work the trim, and then that's going to be it. Then I get to show off what this thing looks like if you didn't already fast forward to check it out to see if you already like the way it looks. So I will see you guys in just a few minutes. Okay, so I just wanted to jump on here and tell you, I probably don't need to show you how to seam the hood. You're going to seam the hood exactly how we seamed the sleeve. You're just going to, whenever your hood is long enough, you're just going to bring it together inside out, of course, and just single crochet seam it shut. And then as far as the trim I'm going to do, it's super simple. All I'm going to do is work a couple of rows of single crochet starting at the bottom of my jacket, and I'm just going to work probably 2 or 3 rows of single crochet up around the hood, down the other side, then back up and over again, just like I had showed you before. I'm going to start down here and work single crochets up and around, down, chain 1, turn, come back up the other way, and I may do that 2 or 3 times. I don't really know. Things like this with wearables, it's entirely customizable to your taste. So I figured I really didn't need to show you that portion because it's so simple. It's just single crochets. So you'll just work a single crochet, then don't stop. Keep working around the front of the hood, then come back up and do it again. You know, come all the way back down, then come back up and do it again as many times as you want. So the next time you see me, actually, I'm going to be showing you what this gorgeous coat looks like, all accessorized and ready to go out on town. Okay, so another way to close this along with the belt is these little clips. I'm going to leave links down below for everything, and of course, as you know, I'm not sponsored by anything, but what you want to do is link them first. Find this top portion. Let's go ahead and close this up. Clip it to the top portion like this, and then drag it over here and clip it again. And there you have, it's closed off for a cool, windy walk. So here it is with simple blue jeans, and you'll note that with the belt, I went ahead and folded the lapel down, and just use the belt to sort of keep it into place. You can see what I mean by you really don't need buttons. If you just put on a simple belt, and again, you will find a link for this belt in the description box down below. I paid like $12 for it on Amazon, not affiliated. But yes, just a simple pair of blue jeans. It's probably about 54 degrees out today with a breeze. I'm a little cold. I think I'm just gonna throw this on with the belt and be on the way. And so it's a simple jacket, but with a belt, with a little clip. It can be something just a little bit more fabulous, and I guarantee you'll be the only person on the block wearing this unless they're watching my videos and your next door neighbor.